today is brought to you by leaf browning and yellowing, aka what the hell is going on with my plant. Well, first things first, your plant is going to have browning and yellowing leaves at some point. Even healthy plants drop leaves, and it's not necessarily a scary thing, but typically if you're losing 1 or 2 leaves and you still have, I would say, half of your leaves, you're gonna be okay. If you're down to 1 leaf and a stub, then it might be time to panic. So first thing I want to talk about is Alocasia. So I have this Alocasia Zebrina reticulata that I got earlier this summer. As you can see, there's one little dude hanging out back here. So first thing I do when I get one of these guys that has a leaf falling off, I check to see if there are roots coming out the bottom. There's not, so it's fine. It doesn't need to be repotted. Alocasias will drop their oldest leaf. The new leaves come out of the center. It causes the petioles to get thicker and thicker. So eventually it makes sense that this guy will split down the middle and the leaf will die off. I leave this guy for as long as possible, and then when it pulls off easily, like now, oops, then I take it off. Nope, guess it's not ready yet. So I'll leave it for another day or 2 and call it good. But it's just the oldest leaf. That's not a problem. This plant is very healthy. This is the newest leaf it just pushed out, and it's already starting to grow a new one there. So for alocasias, you're gonna lose a lot of leaves, a lot more leaves than other plants. When you disturb their roots too much, they're gonna drop a couple leaves. When you move them from a sunnier location to another location, they're gonna drop leaves. Part of that is the plant no longer needs these leaves to create food for it, or maybe you've underwatered these plants, because these plants are notorious for throwing tantrums when they're underwatered. They may also drop a leaf, and that's partly just because the plant can no longer, the plant doesn't need all of those leaves to survive. The plant needs fewer leaves so that it can cope with having less water or less light, or maybe a change of season. But if your Alocasia is just dropping a few leaves here and there, that's not a problem. So here's my Alocasia Frydeck. Look at that new leaf. Freaking huge. This is the 3rd pot it's been in this summer. Nice big plant. You can see though that this leaf and this leaf are drooping. Again, that's not a big deal for me. This guy has 3 big ass leaves it's pushing out, and it's pushing out another leaf already right here. I don't know if you can see that. Bigger than my head. Kaylee Ellen head test. Okay, anyway, and the reason that these leaves are drooping, and again, another reason that I'm not worried about these leaves drooping, is because even though this is the 3rd pot it's been in, this is the 4th time I've repotted it. The soil was fine and all that, but it was pushing out babies. And I wanted to get those out of there and like give them away, maybe sell one or something like that. So I completely disturbed this guy's roots. So this leaf will go. It already has some yellowing and spotting on the backside. It's mostly even in its deterioration. This leaf hasn't started deteriorating yet. It's just kind of droopy. That's all because I disturbed the roots. So this plant was like, all right, well, we're getting, something's happening, so we need to drop some leaves and call it a day. It makes sense. It makes sense that that plant is going to drop leaves. This is my Begonia Medora. I put these stems in water to water propagate. And you can see, especially on this side, that this leaf is browning, as is this one. I'm not worried about those leaves dropping, but they're giving themselves to the plant to establish roots in this new soil medium. Either way, these 2 leaves are going to fall off. It's not going to be a big deal. I'll probably have a few off of this guy fall off too. See how there is yellow and brown on this leaf, and how the yellow doesn't have a hard line, and how it's kind of even, the deterioration. I just wanted to say that before I bring on my next guest. Please give it up for my Calathea Horse's whiskey eye. Jopertia Horse's whiskey eye. So I did a quick plant haul on this guy a few weeks ago. It's beautiful, absolutely stunning. And in that video, you guys saw me like touching this plant all to hell. And I'm gonna do that a little bit here, but not as much, because this plant has a fungus. Part of the way I know it's a fungus is there are hard yellow lines followed by brown where it kind of deteriorated or developed a spot. So on this new leaf here, the top of it is brown, it's already being eaten away by the fungus. But let me find a good leaf. I mean, it's still growing fine, but I need to spray it with a fungicide. So I've been keeping it pretty separate from my plants. I don't want the plants to really touch. Okay. So immediately after this, I'm gonna go wash my hands, basically, is what I'm saying. You can see that it's brown followed by a hard yellow line, and it's like kind of proceeding into the leaf. And then this leaf up top kind of has that tip weird. I mean, the plant, like I said, if the plant is still growing and going. And then I also have a dead leaf over here. That is just because it's an old leaf. That'll be all right. It's not dead yet. The leaves that are affected, they should be cut off. There's not that many leaves on this guy to begin with, so I kind of have to be careful when I cut and what I cut. But now that there's new growth coming out, I think I'll be able to chop off some of the older leaves, especially the ones that are more affected by this fungus, and I'll be able to keep the younger leaves. But again, I could just spray it with a fungicide, and then I can keep all the leaves and then chop them off as the plant regenerates. Anyway, so thank you guys for hanging out with me. I should say I'm not an expert in all things leaf browning. Basically, I'm just trying to say that all leaves brown at some point, and we don't need to freak out about it. It's gonna be okay. We'll get through it together. We can make plant mistakes. It'll grow back. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day and all that stuff.